Last summer I built this really simple forge out of some junk I got for free when I helped clean out a garage. It's definitely functional, but there's a couple problems with it. For one, it burns through fuel like crazy, and there's no good place to hold extra fuel over the workpiece that I'm forging. I also do all my forging in the backyard, and I don't really have a good place to store it when I'm done using it. So to solve some of those problems, I'm building a new forge. This is likely going to be a 1 or 2 part video series, and in this video I'm going to cover the construction of the table and the fire pot, and then in the next video we're going to get into the construction of the blower manifold. So let's hack and build. I'm going to be doing all my work in the backyard, so this forge has got to be portable. With that in mind, I designed everything so it could be broken down and stored when I'm done using it. The legs screw onto the table, and once removed they fit inside, creating a relatively small package that can be easily carried away. Since my last fire pot was way too big, I designed this one to be adjustable. The idea is that I can change the size of the fire by adjusting the position of the divider. I'm not quite sure how I'll secure the divider, but I'll let you know what I come up with in the next video. The fire pot's constructed entirely of flat bar stock, and I meticulously cut out all the pieces with my angle grinder and then welded them up with some 7018 electrode. Most of the top slot was also cut out with the angle grinder. And I used my drill and jigsaw so I could really get into those corners. This slot is where the blower manifold is going to attach, and there's likely going to be some sort of valve to control the airflow. Let me show you what I mean. So the manifold's going to attach down here, and the blower is going to attach somewhere down here. I think what I'm going to do is use a piece of aluminum gutter for this part, and then this piece here is just going to be welded up using the same 12 gauge sheet metal that I've used. And then what I'm thinking is this opening here, I want to change the size of this based on where the divider is. So probably what I'm going to do is either just have some kind of a little pull tab here that moves a valve horizontally across here, or I may do something over here, sort of like a spinning disc kind of a deal. I also wanted to point out why this piece kind of sticks out a little bit here. Originally, I was thinking I would leave the ends open, and then I just create some kind of a mechanism to hold these in place, but I think that's a really bad idea. So I just welded these in place, and then I'm going to have that divider, that little floating divider that's going to be attached in some way so that it is resting on top of the sheet metal plate up here. I used some thin angle iron for the top of the table. It's actually from an old bed frame, but it's perfect for this since it's plenty sturdy enough and it's going to help keep the weight down. Since we're talking about portability, I also wanted to mention the setup I'm using for my welding table. It's just 4-foot chunks of 6 3/8 inch bar stock. I considered buying a portable table, but this setup works out great for me and it hardly takes up any space at all. Anyway, back to the subject. It's best to use light tack welds here in case you need to make any adjustments later. It'll be easier to take everything apart if you need to. Next, I welded on a short piece of angle iron and drilled a hole for a 1/4-20 bolt. This does a pretty good job of holding the legs in place, and the legs themselves are about 30 inches, which I think is a good size for my height. The legs also fit nicely on the tabletop in its broken down state. I'm using a thin piece of 12 gauge sheet metal for the top of the table. I used my jigsaw to cut everything out. I first drilled some pilot holes and then just cut out the pocket. I used these 30 TPI blades and I thought they worked out pretty well. It was a little slow going, but they did leave a nice clean cut. The other thing I wanted to touch on was the efficiency problem. This blower here moves way too much air, and I thought originally that just by adjusting the switch I might be able to get it down to the appropriate level, but that didn't work. So what I ended up picking up was one of these speed controllers here, and this works pretty good. This gets it down to where it's moving the correct amount of air, so you don't have that big torrent of sparks flying up like you saw in the beginning of the video. And even better than that, I've got this blower here, which is already moving the correct amount of air, so I won't even need a speed control for this one. So this is the blower that I'm going to be using on the new forge. And that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover in part 1. I realize there still may be a couple kinks that I need to hammer out here, so if you have any suggestions before I forge ahead with the next part of the project, let me know in the comments. Also, I will have some blacksmithing related videos coming up as I continue to set up my backyard blacksmithing shop. So if that sounds interesting, you'll want to subscribe for more hacks and builds. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Cheers.